In this video, we'll be taking apart the AGM PAD T1. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and click on the notification bell so you'll be notified once I upload a new video. Also, if you need any tools, there are links in the description. We'll start off by removing the SIM tray. Here's a look at the SIM tray, and there's no rubber gasket around the opening. At this point, heat needs to be applied to the screen using either a hairdryer or a heat gun to loosen up the adhesive underneath, and then a pry tool can be used to pry the screen off. I prefer to use a hairdryer since there's less of a chance of damaging any of the components inside by overheating them. Once the glass screen is pried off from the plastic border, it can be carefully lifted over. There's a single Phillips screw which needs to be removed that's holding down the metal cover over the connector for the battery. The battery cable can now be disconnected, followed by the rest of the cables. To disconnect or remove these flex cables, the black latches or locks need to be lifted up to release them. Here's a better look at the back of the screen. Now 22 Phillips screws need to be removed. There is an additional Phillips screw underneath this tape. However, I'll remove that later, since I don't want the main board to go flying when I'm disconnecting the flex cables. Also, to replace the battery or remove the battery, you won't need to remove any of those screws. You just have to remove this flex cable from the main board, giving you access to the battery. These speaker assemblies are soldered to the subboard or charger port board with these wires over here. So in order to replace the speakers, you would have to desolder them from the subboard, and the same goes for the subboard or charger port board itself. Looking at the other side, we see that this flex cable can be separated from the subboard or charger port board. You just have to peel off this black tape and lift up the lock or latch to release the flex cable. There are also mesh filters over the speaker openings. In order to remove the battery, there's a pull pouch provided to help you pry the battery off. This is the 7000 mAh battery. Here's a look at the headphone jack. And here's a look at the 5 megapixel front facing camera. Now that final Phillips screw which is holding the main board down can be removed to release the main board. Looking at the main board, we can see the SIM and memory card reader, as well as the microphone which is connected via this cable. The microphone can be disconnected from the main board by just pulling off this cable. Here's a look at the backside. This is the volume and power button flex cable. And this is the 13 megapixel main camera and LED flash. Aside from that, there's an antenna flex cable over here and one over here. For the repairability score, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's fairly easy to repair or replace any parts on this. The main downside would be finding available parts. Aside from that, compared to some of the other tablets I've taken apart, this is an easy one to repair. Now it's time to reassemble it. Once everything's back in place, you can power it on, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.